One of the hot topics circulating in the community as of late has been discussion on the ethics and conduct on using POAPs. Wanting to take it a step further, POAP growth manager iDecentralized, who is also better known as Anthony, he had made a post on the Discourse asking the community to give their thoughts and opinions on a few different questions. And the purpose of this post was to help POAP Inc. get a better idea of how people use their product and what they need to do in the future to help improve it and allow it to conform to users' needs. There's some really good posts on here, and I highly encourage everyone to at least read the thread, and I'll post a link in the description to it. But let's really begin talking about what's in this thing. So, really, actually, to begin, I'm going to preface where I'm coming from in terms of my feelings and opinions on this topic. So, a little backstory on me. I first entered the Web3 space about a year ago now, and POAP has been with me every step of the way. And I'm going to use an analogy of a baby here. So, first you crawl, and then you walk, and then you run. And for POAP, it's been my onboarder, and it wasn't necessarily my crawl, but it's definitely been my walk. So not exactly the first thing that I did, but it's really what helped me begin moving in this Web3 ecosystem. And really, I think a lot of this is because POAPs are so noob friendly. The barrier to entry is super low. You don't need to know how to navigate Web3 or even pay anything but your attendance to get one. And I've been helping plan events using POAPs. I've helped people use best practices. I've given plenty of advice and guidance. I'm one of the hosts for their community call, and I mean, heck, I made this YouTube channel so I had another outlet to talk about them. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I care a lot. And topics like this have a lot of meaning to me. And so I would at least like to believe that through my experiences and passions about this, that my thoughts are going to be valuable here. So in this discourse post, Anthony asks, let me go ahead and scroll down so it's more visible here, everyone. He asks two questions. I'm going to focus in on the first one really quick. So he says, or I should say he asks, should people be able to purchase POAPs on the secondary market? And then he also has a bullet point here. It's asking what are good or bad reasons to purchase a POAP on the secondary market. So diving into this, here's how I think of it. What is a POAP? And a lot of people are going to have different answers for that, because a POAP is really like the Swiss Army knife of NFTs. You're able to do so many things with them, and really it's up to the issuer for what they want to use it for. Do they want it to be for attending their event? Do they want it to be because you met them? What kind of utilities do they want to put on that POAP? Are they going to be great for discounts in the future? Are they going to let you get access to some sort of token gated event? Things like that. So whenever people think about what is a POAP and should you be able to trade it, I feel like whatever they have their instant thought of what a POAP is what their opinion on this is going to be. But let's really think about what a POAP is on a technical level. And really, it's just an ERC 721. It's an NFT, as I said earlier. It's just an NFT. So what can you do with NFTs? Well, you can transfer them. You can trade them. So should you be able to trade a POAP on the secondary market? Well, of course, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. And I believe trying to prevent people from doing that in the current state of POAP is going to be super difficult, because how is somebody going to know that they shouldn't be trading a POAP, right? So trying to prevent it right now is kind of a fool's errand, if you get what I'm trying to say here. But I think it also kind of leads itself into basically what it says around the 10 of this question, and even his little bullet point, like, should they be able to be traded in the secondary market, and what's a good or bad reason? A good reason would be maybe a person who wants to be part of a token gated community. They weren't around for when that POAP was being minted. However, they're able to go to a secondary market. They're able to purchase that POAP, and now they're able to enter that community that otherwise they may not have been able to get into. Or maybe there is some sort of discount in an online shop that you're able to get for having this POAP, and people see that valuable, and maybe you, as the person that owns it, maybe you don't want to have it anymore. Maybe you get more value out of it by selling it to someone else. So trying to strip that away from someone isn't necessarily something I agree with, at least not right now. And when you really think about it, if you want POAPs to not be tradable, you have to do it at the protocol level. Because again, how is someone supposed to know they're not allowed to trade this thing when they could easily trade it? Nothing is preventing them from trading it. And so this kind of leads into the whole topic of soul boundness. And how I feel about that, at least with POAPs, is right now, if you want a POAP to be soul bound, you're going to have to figure out some sort of new ERC for it, I think. Because how is somebody supposed to know that they can't trade this thing when they can easily trade it? Whenever the robustness of soul boundness starts to really begin happening and starts to sort of spread around and we get a good standard on what that's supposed to be, I can definitely see POAP taking that route. But I also want to say that perhaps every POAP shouldn't be a soul-bound token in the future because, again, there's some good reasons as to why you would want to be able to put it on a secondary market. And so when people have all these tools available to them, I think that allowing them to be able to use them is the best way to go here. And if you really don't want people trading POAPs on a secondary market, you got to put it in the protocol. But tell me what you think about this in the comments down below. And let's go ahead and move on to the next question here. So the next question that he asks, how should we think about those who intentionally try and manipulate the protocol? And then he gives two examples here. He talks about sharing secret words, and his words here were caught collecting. But what he really means is caught minting POAPs from events that the person didn't attend, or I guess even to further elaborate on that, qualify for. So let's kind of dive into this one a little bit here as well. So how should we think about those who intentionally try and manipulate the protocol? Well, POAP has decided to burn their collection, and they even have precedent for this one. So let me go ahead and show that. So this is a post back in March. This is from POAP Inc. COO Isabel. She had made a post explaining how they had caught somebody manipulating the protocol. It's talking about how they had found that they were just brute forcing the 6-digit strings in order to actually just discover mint codes. And something like that, okay, I can see how, hey, we don't find this good behavior, and so they did something to counter it, and they got rid of this person's POAP collection. I don't necessarily agree with this, but at the same time, I can understand how POAPs that shouldn't exist should be no longer in the wallets that they shouldn't exist in. And so when we think about rule breakers, I'm going to call them, it really is a tough one on what you should do, because I've made the argument in the past, well, maybe there should be some sort of disallow list. Yet I've also been thrown, well, we've seen how those don't really work in the past and how they can get clunky quickly. There could be people on there that don't deserve to be on there, and I can totally understand that. And there has to be something that, again, like I said with trading on the secondary market, you have to codify it into the protocol in order to actually protect from this. So you don't want people brute forcing the 6-digit mint codes. Well, then maybe that shouldn't be something that you use. Maybe you need to have more strings of digits on there to make it more difficult to brute force. Or even like secret word, for example. I don't necessarily care for secret word, if I'm going to be honest. I understand how they can be fun and how people would want to use them in order to make their events more fun and even easier to distribute their POAP, but I can tell you from experience, it sucks when you go to an event and they're using secret word in order to actually give out their POAP, and it's time to put in the secret word. Maybe, you're trying, like, you put in a typo or something, or you just can't get to it in that moment. Well, it's like it's destined to happen, I feel like, where you you have your secret word, people will learn that, and now they're just spreading it. And sharing secret words, how are you supposed to prevent that at all, right? Like, how are you supposed to know that a person is, oh, they're sharing the secret words when they're not supposed to? I mean, I'm sure that you can find examples of that, but like, hey, like, you know, if I want to share something with a friend of mine, like, oh, hey, there's this community where they give out POAPs. Hey, if you put this in, you can get their first POAP from them, and then you can come along next time. Like, is that really like bad in a way? Like, you're still trying to get them involved, but I can also see the argument how like you shouldn't really do that either. And I'm just gonna kind of circle back around and say maybe secret word isn't the best method, and POAP Inc. needs to find a way to put in new features that allow for better distribution of POAPs on a grander scale. And actually, later on in the show, we're going to be talking about a solution that potentially could help with that. But yeah, when it comes to rule breakers, I don't necessarily agree with burning their collection. Like at the end of the day, it's their assets. Like, I'm sure that there's going to be some POAPs in that collection that they did get legitimately. So to be able to just rip them all away from them, it could cause some problems. But I understand how POAP Inc. as a company, like they own POAP, right? Let's not get it all twisted up here, because they own POAP. They're out here. They're trying to do deals with other companies in order to get POAPs out there. They have partnerships with other people. They want POAP to be the best that it can be, and they don't want people abusing it, and they don't want to have the trust abused within their protocol. It's kind of like earlier last week we were talking about what makes a responsible issuer. Well, what makes a what makes a responsible user? Well, not abusing the protocol, for one, is probably the number one thing. And I agree that if you do something that you shouldn't be doing, then you deserve some consequences. Is it burning their collection? Maybe not, but we're gonna have to see what they do with that in the future. But I would like to know what you think about this. Go ahead and put your comment down below. You can even go ahead and post on that discourse as well. Again, that link is going to be in the description. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Really appreciate you doing that for me. If you liked what you saw, maybe you should hit like. Maybe you should hit subscribe. Who knows? If you want to see the full show that this segment came from, you want to click here now. Thanks so much for stopping by, everyone. This is Mr. Mojo, signing out.